Welcome to our English podcast. Let's practice speaking together.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Just Speak English podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Hailey. So glad you're here with us today.
Today's topic is one that I think a lot of people have very close to their hearts. Travel, living abroad, and how to talk about all of that in English. Whether you've already moved to another country, you're planning to, or you just have a dream of seeing the world someday, this episode is for you.
And travel is one of those topics that comes up constantly in English conversation. At work, at social events, with new people you meet. Have you traveled much? Where's your favorite place you've ever been? What's it like living here? Being able to answer those questions naturally and with real depth makes such a huge difference.
So today we're giving you the vocabulary, the phrases, and the cultural context to talk about travel and life abroad with confidence. Subscribe if you're new here, and let's get into it.
5 words and phrases for today.
First, culture shock. Culture shock is the feeling of disorientation and discomfort you experience when you move to or visit a place with very different customs and ways of life. She loved living in Japan, but the first few months were intense. The culture shock was real.
Second, off the beaten path. This expression describes places that are not well known or heavily touristed, hidden gems away from the typical tourist routes. We skipped the main attractions and went completely off the beaten path. It was the best decision we made.
Third, homesick. Homesick describes the feeling of missing your home, family, food, or familiar surroundings when you're far away. Living abroad is wonderful, but the first Christmas away from family made me incredibly homesick.
Fourth, blend in. To blend in means to fit naturally into your surroundings without standing out as an outsider. After 6 months, she started to blend in. She knew the neighborhoods, the local spots, the unwritten rules.
And fifth, settle in. To settle in means to become comfortable and established in a new place over time. It took about a year to really settle in, but once we did, it finally felt like home. Okay, culture shock, off the beaten path. Homesick, blend in, settle in. Let's go. Hailey, have you ever lived somewhere other than where you grew up? And if so, what was that experience actually like?
I have, yes, and honestly, the first thing I remember is how disorienting it was. Not in a bad way, but everything was slightly unfamiliar. The way people queued, the way people greeted each other, the sounds of the streets at different times of day. It wasn't bad. It was just different, and different takes adjustment.
That disorientation is culture shock, right? And I think people expect culture shock to be dramatic, some big clash of values or customs, but a lot of the time, it's actually those small, everyday things. The grocery store layout, the way people make eye contact on the street, whether strangers smile at you or don't.
The smiling thing is so real. I moved somewhere where strangers absolutely do not smile at each other on the street. And for weeks I thought people were unfriendly. Then I realized that's just not the custom here. It had nothing to do with me.
And that's such a valuable lesson for anyone living abroad or traveling. Most of what feels unfriendly or strange is just different, not wrong. The moment you make that mental shift, everything becomes so much more interesting and so much less stressful.
Now let's get into the actual language. How do you talk about travel and life abroad in English? Because these conversations have a very specific set of phrases that native speakers use constantly. And knowing them makes you sound so much more natural.
When talking about places you visited, instead of just, I went to Italy, you can say, I spent 2 weeks in Italy, or I did a road trip through the south of Italy, or I ended up in this tiny village that wasn't even in the guidebook. The details make the story. The details are what people remember and respond to.
And for describing places, move beyond "it was beautiful" or "it was amazing," which are true but completely forgettable. Try "the energy there was unlike anything I'd experienced before," or "it has this quality where time feels slower somehow," or "I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did."
That last one is my favorite. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. It tells a story of surprise and genuine feeling. It's so much more interesting than "it was great."
What about when someone asks, "What's it like living abroad?" Because that's a big open question, and people often don't know where to start.
Good structure for that answer is to give three things: one challenge, one unexpected joy, and one thing you learned about yourself. Something like, "It's been an adjustment in some ways, especially at the beginning with the language and the food. But I've discovered I love how much slower life feels here, and I've learned that I'm more adaptable than I thought I was."
That three-part structure works so well because it's honest, it's interesting, and it shows self-awareness. It's not all positive, which would sound fake, and it's not all negative, which would make the other person uncomfortable. It's real.
And when talking about homesickness, because that comes up in conversation too, useful phrases include, "I miss the food more than anything," or "I miss the ease of everything being familiar," or "I miss being able to fully express myself without thinking." That last one is something a lot of English learners who live abroad feel deeply: the exhaustion of constantly operating in a second language.
That exhaustion is so real and so rarely talked about. Living your full life in a second language is genuinely tiring in a way that's hard to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it. You're not just speaking a language, you're filtering your personality through it, negotiating your identity through it, expressing your humor and your frustration and your love through it. And that takes energy, especially in the beginning.
And yet, and this is the beautiful flip side, there are moments when you say something in English, or understand a joke perfectly, or navigate a difficult situation with ease, and you feel this wave of pride that is completely unique to the language learning experience. It's a feeling you don't get anywhere else.
Yes, those moments are addictive. I did that in English. That feeling is one of the best reasons to keep going when it gets hard.
What about travel conversations more casually? Like when you're at a social event and someone asks, "Have you traveled much?" How do you keep that conversation flowing naturally?
A good opener is to mention one place that has a story attached to it. Not just the most impressive place you've been, but the one where something interesting happened. I spent a month in Colombia a few years ago and completely fell in love with it. I almost didn't come back. That kind of answer invites follow-up questions and gives the conversation somewhere to go.
And if you haven't traveled much, which is completely fine, you can redirect to curiosity. "I haven't had the chance to travel much yet, but the place I'm most desperate to see is..." That answer shows personality and gives the other person something to respond to, even if your travel experience is limited so far.
And here's something worth saying. Talking about travel in English is one of the contexts where your background as a non-native speaker is genuinely an asset. You have a perspective on language, on cultural difference, on adaptation that most native speakers simply don't have. Your travel story isn't just about the places, it's about navigating the world from a different starting point. That's a more interesting story than most.
Quick vocab recap. Culture shock, the disorientation of being in a very different cultural environment. Off the beaten path, hidden, non-touristy places away from the main attractions. Homesick, missing your home and familiar surroundings. Blend in, to fit naturally into your surroundings. And settle in, to become comfortable and established in a new place over time.
Key phrases from today for describing places. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, and the energy there was unlike anything I'd experienced before. For talking about living abroad, challenge, unexpected joy, and something you learned about yourself. And for homesickness, I miss the ease of everything being familiar.
Comment below, what's one place you've been that surprised you? Or one place you're dreaming of going? Tell us. We'd love to travel vicariously through your answers.
Next episode, we're going somewhere new. Stay tuned for that one.
Thank you so much for listening today. Subscribe if you haven't yet. It's free and it really helps us keep this going. See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!